I bring you greetings from here. Today I want to address an issue concerning why I include all African leaders whenever I'm talking about the problem of Africa, because they are a character. They play a very huge role when it comes to the problem of Africa. So most of my followers on YouTube are asking me, why do I always mention all African leaders as the problem of Africa? Why I do sometimes recommend some of them. For example, I always acknowledge the president of Rwanda. I always acknowledge the president of Ghana, Nana Addo. That man is a pan-Africanist. That man is wearing the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah and the past great fearless African leaders. If most of you have come across the video, the conference he had with Macron, the president of France, you agree with me how bold and fearless that man can be. I mean the Ghanaian president, Nana Addo. And today, he is working so much to develop Ghana. He is working so much to make Ghana independent. Like he said, that it is a shame that after 60 years down the line of independence, that Ghana should depend her education to international aid. It's a shame that at this age Ghana is supposed to be independent as well as the rest of African countries. That is why I recommend that man to be a pan-Africanist. After due consultations, I have been following him up particularly, and also the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. That man is a pan-Africanist. Even on his speech and his actions in Rwanda. Rwanda today emerged as the first African country to manufacture a smartphone. You can see that. So whenever I talk about the problems of Africa and I mention the entire African leaders, I want to give you my reasons. I mention all of them because they are all united with one group or union. That is why whenever I try to condemn them, I put all of them together, because you cannot tell me that African Union is existing and ECOWAS is existing, and some of the evil that has been happening in Africa will be happening without them saying a word. I cannot blame the Europeans by calling them toothless bulldog after the first OAU meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They gathered and called them toothless bulldog, and they have been acting as one. How can you tell me that ECOWAS will be there watching the Cameroon president Paul Biya massacring in the streets of Cameroon the citizens of Cameroon. You cannot tell me, because whenever we talk about independence and freedom for Africa, the science remains that if you are holding somebody or if you are holding something, you don't expect what is holding you to leave you. Until you leave what you are holding, that is when you can have justification for what is holding you to leave you. The Ambazonas in Cameroon that is agitating for their independence, for their sovereign state, it is their right, because they have seen that being with Cameroon cannot solve their problems. You cannot come to a country and some people are being recognized and some are being marginalized, like the Ambazonas are being marginalized today in Cameroon. You can see how Paul Biya's army have been massacring and butchering them on the street, and ECOWAS are there saying nothing about it. That is why I condemn all of them, because they all have a say. They all have one voice in ECOWAS and African Union. You cannot tell me that the ECOWAS and African Union are there watching what is happening in Nigeria as against the Biafrans, watching what is the bloodshed, the massacre, and how the Nigerian soldiers and militaries are butchering and killing the Biafrans on the street because they are asking for their freedom, for their sovereign states. It was not their will or their wish in 1914 when Lugard came from Britain during the era of colonialism and merge the three different ethnic groups that share different cultures, different religion, different background, different everything is different, and merge them together and call them Nigeria. And today the Biafrans are asking for their own freedom. They want to go on their separate ways. And the Nigerian president, the beast called Buhari, and his entourage and his cartels of Fulani in Nigeria are killing them on the streets, and ECOWAS are keeping quiet. The African Union are keeping quiet about it. That is why I condemn the entire African leaders. It is very unfortunate that the freedom of a region or even an individual in Africa depends on the Westerners. After claiming that we have regained independence, that Britain or US must come and tell a country in Africa to allow these people to go. Who did this to Africa? Is it God? I don't know. It is high time that the ECOWAS and African Union leaders should come together and call all these people that have been agitating for their freedom together and peacefully ask them to go. I buy the statement of my mentor, P.L. Lumumba, when he went to visit to address the Amazonas in diaspora. He said that Amazonas will still be a better part of ECOWAS or Africa than being in Syria and what is it called, Cameroon. As well as Biafrans will be a better African state than being in Nigeria, together in Nigeria. I'm not seeing any light from ECOWAS leaders and from African Union. You can see what is going on today with the era of this pandemic, coronavirus. Madagascar have have produced a herbal cure for this pandemic. And most of the African leaders are joining with the West to condemn that product from being used in Africa, not minding of the selfish and devilish interest of the West, that they don't want to have anything good coming from Africa. That their interest is to quench any light that is shining in Africa. And Ramaphosa of South Africa, being a chairperson in African Union, is today joining force to condemn the COVID herbal cure of Madagascar. He went to Cuba to import doctors to come and aid him in fighting COVID-19. And he's also joining force that the herb must undergo a laboratory testing process, which will take about 3 months before the result will come out. This is to make sure that the solution of this pandemic do not come from Africa. As the US have tried and failed, Europe have tried and failed, all of them have failed, but God, being the God of Africans and the land of originality, have produced a herb that can cure this, but they want to quench that light from shining. And it's unfortunate that the majority of African leaders are joining force to them to achieve this devilish aim. But I thank God because the majority of Africans or African leaders have rejected that order of WHO, and they have endorsed the herbal cure from Madagascar for this pandemic, COVID-19. I believe you have now seen my reasons why I condemn the entire African leaders. Whenever I am condemning them, they are mostly the cause of the problems we are having in Africa. Thank you and God bless you.